This seminar is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Consult with your medical provider for medical advice or treatment. Although the presenters try to keep the information in this seminar as accurate and timely as possible, the speakers and Mather Hospital assume no duty to ensure the seminar is error-free. The speakers and Mather Hospital are not responsible or liable for any claim, loss, or damage resulting from you viewing this seminar.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our HealthyU webinar series. Today's topic is how to undiet your life. At any time during the presentation, please feel free to enter any questions you may have using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. We will answer as many questions as we can within the time allotted once the presentation concludes. Your questions will remain anonymous. Today's presenters are Barbara Broggleworth and Daphne Baldwin-Cornrich. Daphne has been a registered dietitian nutritionist for over 30 years. She is a board certified specialist in obesity and weight management, as well as a certified health coach. Daphne has worked in a variety of clinical and outpatient settings. She has been working at Mather Northwell Hospital since 2010. She specializes in bariatrics and weight management. She loves the science of nutrition and to have the ability to provide education and support patients to help them focus on behavior changes that can lead to permanent lifestyle changes. Barbara is a registered dietitian nutritionist for Mather Hospital's Bariatric Center of Excellence. She earned her Bachelor of Science degree from Queens College, completed a dietetic internship at Stony Brook University, received her master's degree in health science from Stony Brook University, and is an ACE certified behavior change specialist. In addition to supporting our bariatric surgery patients, Barbara also educates community members through Mather's medical weight management program. Helping others find wellness through balanced nutrition, physical fitness, and a healthy lifestyle is central to Barbara's work. I wanted to thank you guys for joining us. And Barbara, whenever you're ready, you can pull up the slides.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I appreciate that. Just share my screen here. Jonathan, just let me know that you guys can see that okay?
Yep, yes. Looks good.
All right, thank you. So as Jonathan mentioned, my name is Barbara. I'm one of the dietitians here in our medical weight management program. And Daphne is our clinical care program manager. And we'll be presenting today on how to achieve your best personal body weight and foster optimum health without dieting. Daphne is also going to speak about our comprehensive medical weight management program that's been offered here at Mather since 2014. So we don't have any financial interest or arrangements, potential conflicts, or anything to disclose. You guys took the time to attend today, so we want to honor that by presenting what sometimes may sound like daunting information in a respectable way. We're going to be discussing weight management, and we're going to be using the term obese and obesity. And so if you're sensitive to these terms, or you have a history of an eating disorder, this content may not be appropriate for you. In terms of learning objectives, we're going to be examining how hereditary, activity level, and our body composition influences a person's weight, identify health problems that are associated with being overweight, and summarize some strategies for losing weight. And before I begin, I really, really love this quote. You know, keeping weight off long term means liking the lifestyle that helped you to lose weight in the first place. In other words, instead of starving yourself or eating nothing but protein shakes and supplement snacks, making changes that you actually enjoy and you want to stick with over the long haul is, you know, what's going to create a healthy lifestyle. So your healthiest weight is the weight that you reach when you are living the healthiest life you can enjoy. So what is a healthy weight? Well, a healthy weight is not what we weighed when we were 20 nothing. It's not what the billion-dollar diet industry tells us it is. The diet industry relies on us to feel badly about ourselves so they can sell us diet solutions that are either unattainable or sustainable. And then when they don't work, their marketing strategy is to make the individual believe they failed in some way. And quite honestly, it kind of behooves them for us to fail on their diets, because then we're going to constantly keep coming back. But the reality is that 95% of all diets fail. In fact, there was one statistic that was published by the Boston Medical Center stated that on average, 45 million Americans go on a diet each year. But they're fad diets and they're not sustainable. So successful weight management really starts, number one, with accepting the body you were born with. I heard a really good analogy recently, and it really stuck with me. And they were saying, look at the dog kingdom. You know, if you look at a Saint Bernard and you try to get that Saint Bernard to go to a Great Dane, that Saint Bernard is going to be miserable, because a Saint Bernard is not supposed to be a Great Dane, just like a Great Dane is not supposed to be a Chihuahua. So we have to accept the body that we're born with, and then take steps to achieve a healthy weight within our own body limits, one that's going to help us to stay healthy throughout our lifetime, and one that's going to help to minimize our risk of lifestyle diseases. So again, we're not just equating thinness with health. Now, in terms of assessing our weight and our health risk, there are certain measures that we use, or risk factors. Now, BMI is not a perfect measure because it doesn't directly assess body fat. Muscle and bone are denser than fat. So an athlete, I always think of, oh my God, I'm blanking, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He would have a really high BMI, but it's mostly muscle. So it's not perfect, but it is one of the parameters that clinicians will look at. They'll also look at waist circumference, and they'll look at risk factors for diseases and conditions that are associated with obesity. So some of these risk factors: high blood pressure, high LDL cholesterol, low HDL cholesterol. Remember that LDL is that sticky cholesterol that gets stuck on our inside of our arteries. The HDL is that big globular cholesterol that helps to clean it out. So we want that number to be higher. High triglycerides, which is basically our dietary fat, high blood glucose levels, family history of premature heart disease, physical activity, inactivity, and cigarette smoking are all known risk factors. So, you know, when we look at our society and we look at what's changed, I think it's important to examine this, that our weight status is multifactorial. And our weight status in this country is a public health issue that we unfairly hold individuals accountable for. It's really important for us that we look at society's influence on our food choices. You know, as we look back, our ancestors didn't worry about the same kinds of things that we do today, like our thyroid, our gut, our heart health. Add to that you know, we've got people working more hours, and 50% of, you know, working people outside the home are women. That means that we have both parents working to make ends meet, leaving less time for shopping and meal prep and dining out, you know, or ordering in a lot more often. So, you know, I often say to our patients here, you know, it's easy for us as dietitians to say that everybody should meal prep and everybody should go food shopping, but we also have to acknowledge that our society doesn't always, you know, give us those opportunities. So we have to help people find ways to work in, you know, some hacks, if you will. You know, we get very conflicted advice on nutrition. I mean, there's so much information out there. Social media has just exploded it. So if we thought it was bad before, now you can Google anything, and who knows if you're getting accurate information. We really pride ourselves in our programs here, and as registered dietitians, you know, we're held to a very high standard of only being able to deliver evidence-based information to our patients. And sometimes that's just not as sexy as what's out there on the internet. And then, of course, we're heavily marketed to overconsume highly processed foods. Sorry, my button is, there we go. So as I said, weight gain is multifactorial. So we just talked about environmental and lifestyle factors. We also have genetic factors. Now, to date, they know that there are more than, you know, 900 to 1,000 different genes that have been implicated in the causes of our weight status. And genes can contribute to the causes of our weight status in many ways. It could affect our appetite. It could affect our satiety, which is our sense of fullness. It could affect our metabolism. It could affect our food cravings. It can even affect our tendency to use eating as a way to cope with stress. And I was listening to a talk from Mayo Clinic the other day, and they are actually diving into this research on a genetic level, and they feel like once they identify the genes, like they called one a hedonic gene, so that would be, genetic factors that make us find that I guess would program us to find food more palatable than somebody else. And they're trying to figure out how they can design solutions for people based on their genetic factors. So that's a very big part of it. And I feel like it's very validating when you tell someone who's struggling with that it's not just, it, they're not broken, right? There may be genetic factors at play, and we have to learn how to build strategies around that, right? And then we have physiological factors. So things like our, changes in our basal metabolic rate. If we're, losing our muscle mass, that can contribute to that. Hormones. So people that are in menopause, sleep quality, stress management, all of those things on a physiological level are going to affect our weight status. And then, of course, behavioral, eating hyperpalatable foods to relieve stress. And our gut health, our microbiome is also another emerging science, and that may play an impact in the production of our hunger hormones, something called ghrelin, which can control how hungry we feel at a given time. And an unhealthy gut microbiome can increase some inflammatory markers, which can lead to weight gain and metabolic disease. And then, of course, we've got medications. There are many people that come in to our program that may be taking, let's say, an anti-anxiety medication that is helping them to be able to function in life and have a good quality of life, but that medication may also promote weight gain. So we have to take that into account, and remind our patients of those factors. And then last, injuries that limit physical activity. Not everybody comes to physical activity with the same ability. Some people, no fault on their own, perhaps they were in a car accident, now they have back or neck injuries, and that prevents them from moving in a certain way. So it's our jobs as clinicians to help patients find ways to move their bodies in a healthy way. So again, there's no one size fits all. Not sure what's taking it so long for my screen to share. Here we go. Overconsumption of hypercaloric food. So I want you to pay attention to the language I'm using here. I'm not saying good food and bad food, right? Because that implies that there's some kind of moral judgment, moral implication. If I eat a quote unquote bad food, then maybe that means I'm a bad person or I did a bad thing. So we like to teach people to be a little bit more objective in your language. And, when I say hypercaloric food, what does that mean? It means a food that is very, very calorie dense, but it doesn't have a lot of nutrients. So I'm kind of thinking something like cheesecake, right? And these foods are often ultra processed foods that lead to overeating and weight gain. These hyperpalatable foods appeal to the reward centers of our brain, which promote overconsumption. So if you look at this picture on the right, this is something called a functional MRI. A functional MRI, if you don't know what that is, means that they'll put somebody into the MRI and they'll alter the circumstances around it. So in this case, they may show them a picture of a hyperpalatable food like Ruffles potato chips, or they may give them a sip of maybe a chocolate milkshake. And then they'll see how that lights up areas of our brain. And they can see that it does highlight those reward centers, similar to the way drugs might be. And the more refined a food is, like if you were to chew on a cocoa leaf, you probably wouldn't become addicted to cocaine, but now you refine that down to a powder and you snort it, it's going to hit those reward centers a lot faster. You're going to get that, you're going to want that dopamine fix. Well, think of sugar the same way. If you were chewing on sugar cane, it wouldn't necessarily have the same effect, right? Because it's not refined, but now you granulize that into a powder and we eat it, and it can hit those reward centers very quickly. So the other problem in our society is that these foods are available anywhere, anytime. I mean, if I want to go to TJ Maxx on my lunch hour, I'm standing online and I'm accosted by all of these snacky foods that I wasn't thinking about. I may walk out with, I don't know, Reese's peanut butter cups or Moose Munch or something, right? I wasn't thinking about those foods. You can't go to the gas station. So that's our environment is the invisible hand that drives our behaviors, right? So part of this, part of our strategy is to create some awareness around that so we can navigate that, right? And these foods, contain large quantities of salt, sugar, and saturated fat. And it's when they put people in those MRIs and they are testing those products, they alter them to make them so perfect that we just want to go back for more. And the other thing that's common with these ultra processed foods is they have a meltable quality, meaning that, you eat that Cheeto or that Ruffles potato chip, it doesn't stay on your tongue very long, and then you go back for the next one, right? So that's something that's inherent in the design. And I don't say any of this to be hyperbolic. I just think it's important to understand that there are these factors that are controlling our behaviors and to make us aware of it. And the last part is, research shows that we tend to eat processed food a lot faster. And when we do, we overconsume an additional 500 calories, right? So let's just compare and contrast for a second. I always like to use this example. On the left hand, let me say 3 Honeycrisp apples, right? That might be the equivalent of 500 calories. Who could eat 3 apples in one sitting? Most of us can't, right? Because there's a lot of fiber, there's a high water content, there's a lot of volume. We would get a bellyache. But now, give me a piece of chocolate cake at 500 calories, and I can eat that and probably go back for seconds. And that's because there's no fiber. It's a refined carbohydrate. It's going to digest very quickly. It's not going to keep me full. It doesn't have any protein. It's not a balanced food. And that's not to say that we shouldn't ever have them as treats. It's just to identify that if we're eating those hyperpalatable foods, that's why we're over consuming those calories. For some reason, it doesn't want to advance. Hold on. Here we go. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I think we all kind of know what the medical complications of being overweight are. Let's talk about the good news. Let me stop sharing for a second and reshare. Sorry, guys. My PowerPoint doesn't want to advance for me. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay. So what was I saying? I was saying the good news, right? So we all think that, we have to lose, an inordinate amount of weight in order to get the health benefits. But the reality is that if we want to prevent diabetes, losing just 5 to 10% of our body weight is going to lower our risk of developing diabetes by 58%. And if we have diabetes and we're in that management phase, losing just 5 to 10% of our body weight can help improve our blood sugar numbers. In terms of heart health, losing just 10 pounds can help to manage our blood pressure. And we know that being overweight can put an extra strain on the heart, increasing the risk for developing high blood pressure and damage to our blood vessels. And then in terms of our bone and joint health, again, research shows that losing just 10 pounds would relieve 40 pounds of pressure from our knees. So where do we start? As we learned, there are many factors that contribute to our weight status. Some are within our control, while others are not. And so the key to long-term weight loss is making small changes over time. So I like to say to our patients, we are what we consistently do, right? So consistency is key. Now, according to the National Institute of Health, changing up these 3 areas of our life can lead to a healthy weight. So adopt a healthy eating plan, being physically active, and reducing our screen time. So these are habits for a healthy weight. And these come from, there's tens of thousands of studies that are done on our weight status and how to achieve a healthy weight and how to maintain weight. There's one really good study that's been going on since the 1990s called the National Weight Control Registry, where they look at, I want to say it's over 10,000 people now. It could be higher than that. But they followed these people over their weight loss journey and then documented what kinds of things they were doing to sustain their weight loss long term. Because many people will say to me, I have no problem losing weight. It's maintaining it that could be the hard part. So we're going to talk about things like personal accountability, portion control, consuming nutrient dense foods on a regular basis, moving our body, getting adequate sleep, practicing mindfulness, and staying hydrated. So I used to hate the word accountability when I first came here because I just felt like I was pointing my finger at people, and I don't like to do that. But over the years, my patients have said to me that they like the accountability of coming to check in. And so I wanted to look at it from a different perspective. I said, okay, what is personal accountability? It's really just an obligation or a willingness to accept responsibility to account for one's own actions based on the goal that the individual has set for themselves, right? And then creating a framework that holds you to account, ensuring that you're staying consistent, whether that means charting your progress on a calendar. Maybe it's for some people, maybe they weigh or measure themselves on a regular basis. Some people recruit a buddy. Some people keep a food diary for tracking, or they keep a diary to track their physical activity. And other people find that support from the community really helps them. And then in terms of nutrition, just aiming to make nutrient dense food choices on a daily basis and limit the consumption of those foods that are higher in calories and lower in those nutrients. And again, we're all about focusing on small changes. The smaller the change, the happier you'll feel about having made that change, and the easier it will be to make that change again. So small changes will build over time. And then hydration, I'm always very clear to tell my patients, I never ever want anybody to drink water because they're legitimately hungry and they just want to push their hunger away. But there is not some research, I mean, we do know this to be true, that if we ignore our hunger, our brain doesn't really know the difference. And so it may think, if we ignore our thirst, rather, it may think that we're hungry. So staying hydrated will just keep our body in balance. It can also increase our calorie burn. It can reduce our overall calorie intake and can promote fat loss. And being mindful, right? So I was talking about this food environment all around us, being aware of the foods that we're choosing to eat, how much we're eating and why. If it's out of hunger, enjoy it. But if it's out of an emotional or environmental influence, just take a moment and make a conscious decision. Maybe you still want to have that cookie. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just being mindful about it when you do it. And then there's sleep, so there's a lot of research that has found a link between sleep deprivation and weight gain. And these are some of the hormones that we know that play a role. So ghrelin is the hormone that's responsible for us feeling hungry. So I always think, grr, my stomach's growling, ghrelin, right? And when we don't get enough sleep, the ghrelin level goes up. Leptin is the hormone that tells our brain to stop eating, and sleep deprivation increases our leptin level. Now, cortisol, I think we all know that that's a stress hormone, but that can fuel our hunger, and lack of sleep can lead to an increase in the body's level of cortisol. So an oversimplification of this would be, if you are making yourself stay awake longer than you're supposed to, and your brain only runs on glucose, your brain is going to say, look, if you want to keep me awake, I am going to crave refined carbohydrates and sugar right now. So that's kind of what's going on physiologically in the background. Okay, there we go. I think I'm getting the hang of this. All right, so what can we do? We can start simple with My Plate, right? This is from the USDA, and they basically, this healthy eating plan that's outlined here is based on a 2,000 calorie diet. We individualize this for people, but this is just to give you a sense of what a healthy eating plan would look like. And the portions would change based on somebody's caloric needs, right? But we want to aim to make sure that we're getting, 1.5 cups of fruit a day, at least 2 cups of vegetables, 5 ounces of whole grains. We want to get lean protein in there. And, we also want to include dairy. So, again, this gives us portion sizes to look for. It's a good first, if you don't know anything about nutrition, then looking at My Plate will give you some guidelines on how to balance a plate. And then, of course, we know about our shopping habits, right? We don't want to go grocery shopping when we're hungry. We want to make sure that we have a grocery list before we shop. Choose a checkout line without a candy display. We're seeing lots more of those with the self checkouts. And, buy and try serving new fruits or vegetables. We all get in our ruts. When was the last time you made bok choy or something fun like that? Portion distortion. So I think this is really important. If you look at just how insidious it is, if you look back at the last 50 years, our dinner plates were, maybe 8.5 to 9 inches, and they could hold about 800 calories. But if you look at the plate today, well, in 2009, it had grown to 12 inches. And I remember teaching one of my classes a couple of years ago, and one of the patients said to me, "Gosh, you're right." She said, I had to bring our dinner plates with me when I was shopping for my dishwasher because I couldn't find a dishwasher to accommodate the plate. There's a problem with that. We should not be eating off of plates that are that large. And when we do, our minds don't really catch up to our fullness. So it's easy for us to overeat. And then our brains catch up and we feel uncomfortably full. So how do we control our portion sizes? Well, we can share an entree with someone. If the entrees are too large, we can choose an appetizer or a side dish. Maybe don't serve seconds. Share dessert or maybe choose fruit instead. Eat sweet foods in small amounts to reduce temptation. Maybe we don't keep them so accessible. Share hypercaloric foods like cheese and chocolate, cut it into small pieces. Eat off of smaller plates and obviously skip the buffet. And then the preparation of our food, right? So cut back on added fats and oils and cookings or spreads. Maybe grill, steam, or bake instead of frying. Make foods flavorful using herbs and spices and low-fat seasonings. Um, Use lower fat sour cream, mayo, or sauces. You know, aim to serve several whole grain foods on a daily basis, and maybe top off yogurt with berries or your favorite fruit. And then get active, right? So again, based on your ability and what you prefer to do, you know, um, you know, I I prefer to sit on a stationary bike, close my eyes, and do a spin class. That's not for everybody. My husband is a ballroom dancer. I don't like that way of moving my body. So people have to find ways to incorporate activity into their day. And you could start small. I had a patient very recently, has a very sedentary job, and we set a goal for her to set a timer to get up and walk 3 minutes every hour. That was her way of getting that physical activity. So it doesn't have to be killing it at the gym. It can be parking farther away, taking the stairs instead of the escalator or elevator, maybe walking on our lunch hour. Um, it could also be all of those activities of daily living that we tend not to do so much anymore. Maybe we do our own yard work. Maybe we do our own housework if we can, or something as simple as doing calf raises when brushing our teeth. Or some people like my husband want to join a dance class or an exercise group. Find something that works for you that you can be consistent with. And you may have to try a bunch of different things on. So some practical tips, eating balanced meals before going to work. And a balanced meal means a lean protein, a high fiber starch, and making half your plate vegetables. Choosing light snacks, pairing fruits and vegetables with protein. So apple and peanut butter is a good example. Hard-boiled egg, that's a great go-to. When possible, take breaks to eat your snacks mindfully. But I also share with my patients, Daphne and I work in a very frenetic office here. And so eating slowly and mindfully in a beautiful setting, that's not always conducive. Maybe the mindful part of that meal was the fact that I prepared it in advance. And so I had grab and go things. So it could be that I ran in and ate a hard boiled egg very quickly, but the mindful part was having the hard boiled egg there. Um, Ensuring that we have water or other low sugar drinks available. Grab frequent sips throughout our shift. Avoid high fat, high sugar foods because they can ultimately, cause us to feel more fatigued. And most importantly, we want to avoid going long periods without eating, because that can lead to overeating. And then, our decision-making power is nil, and we're just going to eat everything we can. And that will typically mean that we're eating these hyperpalatable and hypercaloric foods. So some practical tips for grab and go snacks: overnight oats, veggie sticks or whole wheat pita with hummus. When I say veggie sticks, I mean real vegetables. I don't mean the veggie sticks that they sell that are like potato chips. Rye crisp breads with apple slices topped with nut butter, a protein bar. Even if you paired some pretzels with peanut butter, that's also a good go-to snack. Again, you don't have to be perfect at this. Unsalted nuts with a piece of fruit, having soups on hand, like any of those already prepared soups that you can keep in your cupboard. Those are good to keep around. You can have that as a snack. And then, of course, incorporating healthy fats and food that are high in protein and fiber, because that's what's going to promote satiety. So again, our lean meats, fish, cottage cheese, eggs, nuts, seeds, avocado, all of these on this list are great ways to increase our fiber and our protein and our satiety. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Jonathan, and Daphne's going to take over, and she's going to talk about our program. Jonathan, do I have to do anything?
Nope, you're good. I have the screen up. Daphne,
Okay,
whenever
great.
you're ready.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Barbara. My name is Daphne, and thank you for everyone that's joining today. We're going to discuss our program. And also, I just want to say, as you've noticed, that Barbara does a fantastic job providing education, the logic behind why we're eating and what we want to make ourselves healthy with, and is so supportive. So thank you, Barbara, for all you do for our program. Really appreciate it. So one of the biggest differentiators between our program and others is our dedication to patient-centered care. We prioritize our patients' unique needs, values, and preferences. We listen to them, educate them on their dietary concerns, provide emotional support, and create a compassionate environment where they feel empowered to make decisions on their own. We see our patients as members of our community, and by extension, as part of the Northwell Mather family. Our classes are designed to build awareness around how our choices and environment impact our behaviors and how we can take back control. Next slide, please. So what we are, we're a medically supervised weight loss program as a joint effort between a patient and healthcare professionals, and we emphasize lifestyle changes based upon the principles of the Mediterranean diet. What we're not about is rapid weight loss, dietary supplements, eating the same thing every day, avoiding carbs, and rigid menus. And you can see this beautiful picture of one of our patients that did very well in the medical weight management with her family. Started eating healthier, being happier. So we're very happy that she was able to, promote our program also. Next, please. So I just want to also acknowledge Nicole Drepanotis, who is our manager of operations and also a registered dietitian. And she's the person that had the vision and had the passion to start our medical weight management program in 2013, and it started serving the community in 2014. So we're very lucky to have such a wonderful person that we, as a role model, and she really created a wonderful program. So we've been serving the community from 2014 through 2024, and now 2025. Our numbers, we just got back. So now instead of 850 community members, we have helped over 1,000 community members lose weight and learn long-term behavior change. As Barbara alluded to before, our program focuses on evidence-based, such as the Mediterranean diet that incorporates good protein, healthy fats, and a moderate exercise program. The Mediterranean diet has been around for over 50 years, and there's so much research behind it. We follow the National Weight Registry, National Institute of Health and Academy of Nutrition and Dietetic Guidelines for weight loss, And our target population includes those with a BMI of greater than 30 with or without a comorbidity, and a BMI of 27 to 30 with comorbidities. Just so the term comorbidities, those are the ones that are accepted. If you have hypertension, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, obstructive sleep apnea, and some also fatty liver is also one that's coming out to be another comorbidity. Next one, please. Thank you. The centerpiece of our weight loss program revolves around personalized medical nutrition therapy. So even when we promote a Mediterranean meal plan, I've had people say, but I don't eat fish, I can't do the Mediterranean. It's just we meet you where you're at. So everything is very individualized. On average, our patients lose between 7 to 10% of total body weight. Could be more, could be less. At the initial visit, all patients undergo a comprehensive assessment with one of our physicians and registered dietitian. We collect the following information to develop a personalized weight loss program. So when you come in for your consult, we make sure weight, height. If you make the appointment and you had recent blood work, you can bring that with you. But if you haven't, we will give you a script for comprehensive metabolic and lipid panel for blood tests. We want to know about your weight history, your eating habits, your medication review, past medical history, and then we can individualize the nutrition plan. And this is very important with your physician appointment also. Next, please. So our program components consist of weekly nutrition education for 10 weeks. We focus on behavior modification, exercise and activity. Also, our program is supervised by physicians, and now we also have weight loss medications to help augment weight loss if anyone decides that they want to do that. But it's available, but it's based on the physician assessment. Next one, please. So we kind of promote the cognitive behavioral modality, gives patients the autonomy to make decisions in real life situations. We have a structured 10-week instructor-led education program delivered by our registered dietitians, are also very certified in behavior change. And we have classes on Wednesdays. We have an 11 o'clock class and a 6 o'clock class. And we have either a virtual or in person. So they're hybrid classes. So if you want to come in person, we love it. If you want to do it virtual, that's fine too. We do weekly weigh-ins to track patient progress if they want to do it. And if you're doing it virtual, you just email the RD. We really want to focus on nutrition and behavior classes to promote sustainable weight management. And like Barbara was saying, those little changes, that's what we're looking for, the small changes that turn into being lifestyle changes. You'll also get weekly emails with our education material. And then we're going to transition to a maintenance program if people decide they want to join. And I'm going to speak with that a little bit later. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is the 10 classes. So sustainable habits, habit formation and goal setting, physical activity and lifestyle behavior, triggers, reinforcers, mindful eating, food label and portion distortion, Mediterranean diet, fiber and probiotics, dining out and alcohol, and bite. And what's great about the classes too is we're not really focusing on the calories, but the science and the logic of nutrition. And you could start your first class at mindful eating, and that could be someone's 5th class. So these 10 classes continue to rotate. Next slide, please. So at the end of our program, we also have a follow-up with the physician and also with the registered dietitian. And at that time, we do a metabolic analysis, which we're going to talk about with the next slide, and discuss our maintenance program. So with the metabolic analysis, this measures an individual's metabolic rate by determining the actual resting energy expenditure, namely the amount of calories we burn while in a resting state. It does this by measuring oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange, a process called indirect calorimetry. This will provide additional information regarding estimated calories burned with exercise and also our daily activities. It also shows us what our metabolism is. Is it slow? Is it normal? Is it high? And we address all those facts. Next slide, please. So after you finish the medical weight management program, it was about 12 weeks. And then we talk about our maintenance program that we have. So as most of us realize, maintaining weight loss is very hard, if not harder than losing weight in the first place. So research has shown that many people who lose weight eventually regain the weight they have lost. So long-term weight maintenance programs help to provide support and accountability and have been shown to be very helpful for successful maintainers. So our maintenance program fee is $80, and that includes 8 classes over 16 weeks, which builds on education provided with the medical weight management program. So that gives you another 4 months of being in a program at a reasonable price. And we've had so many people join the maintenance program 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. They just love the program. And also we have to change our education so much to make it interesting for everyone that joins the maintenance. But we really want even the patients that are in the maintenance program to tell us what they would like to learn about. So we have lots of education. We always have such wonderful people in our program. They're so supportive of each other, so helpful and kind. So we're very, very lucky and thankful. Can we have the next slide, please? The program fee for the medical weight management program is $220 out of pocket, but that fee includes your nutrition assessment, consult. We also have a follow-up appointment midway that you don't have to pay for, that's included, the 10 classes, the end of the program follow-up with nutrition, and also the metabolic analysis. And all the classes are conducted by a registered dietitian and nutritionist. Next, please. And this is our team, a little, I don't even know what they're called, emojis or some. Me, Daphne, Barbara, who you met, a wonderful provider of comprehensive nutrition assessment and behavior change coaching instructor. Danielle is lovely. She's a provider of comprehensive nutrition assessment and behavior change coaching and instructor. And Donna is wonderful. She is our administrative support and tech guru. She gets us through a lot. So we have a great team. Everybody is so passionate about our program, and we're so lucky to have such a team and such patients that come see us. Next slide, please. If you want to learn more about our program or join the program, you can call us at 631-686-2513. We're located in the Medical Arts Building at Northwell Mather Hospital. Next slide. And if anybody has any questions they want to ask, please feel free.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for that amazing presentation. And yes, if anybody has any questions, you can enter them at the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll give it a few seconds to see if anybody has anything.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Let's see. Okay, the first question, does insurance cover any of the costs?
The cost for the medical weight management program is out of pocket, so that doesn't cover insurance. Doesn't cover it. But if you divide everything you get compared to other programs, it's very reasonable. But we know it's hard, especially, it's hard when you don't. It's a big lump sum, 220. But that's how it is. I'm sorry. I wish insurance covered sometimes.
The doctor's visit's covered by insurance, and if a person was interested and they were a good candidate for weight loss medication, depending on their insurance, that may or may not be covered. So,
yeah, the doctor appointment's a co-payment with insurance, but our part of it is $220 out of pocket.
All right. Next question. Do you have to be a Northwell employee to be eligible for this program?
No, not at all. It's community. You don't have to be a Northwell employee.
All right. That seems to be the only questions at the moment. I'll give it a few more seconds here to see if anything else comes up. All right, all right, another question. What if you have a lot of weight to lose and it takes more than 10 weeks?
Well, that's why we also promote the maintenance program, because to lose a substantial amount of weight in 12 weeks is not really going to happen. Usually you're going to lose weight and change behaviors that's going to help you continue to lose weight. But that's why we also promote the maintenance program, because it will help. We've had people that maybe didn't lose weight during the medical weight management. All of a sudden they went the first couple of classes of maintenance and everything started clicking and lost like substantial amount of weight. So, and we're always here for everybody. And again, it's individualized and everybody has different things going on. And even with the maintenance program, if somebody couldn't do it for 1 month and they decided to join 2 months later, we're always there for those patients. The maintenance
And we've
gives
had
another
patients re-enrolling. We've had patients re-enrolling since 2020 in the maintenance program. So we call it maintenance, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they need to maintain where they are. They're maintaining the behaviors that they learn through the program.
And like Barbara was saying too, we've had some people that rejoin the medical weight management program because they want to come every week. And then it costs $120 if you rejoin. Right, Barb?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what I've heard patients say, because we've had quite a number of people that have rejoined, and one, because they do like that it meets on a weekly basis, but we also do such a deep dive into the science
Yes.
that even though I teach it all the time, so it feels so second nature, but learning it for the first time, sometimes people are really intellectually curious and they just want to take the classes again to reinforce what they learned about the gut microbiome, or, antioxidants and free radicals and the Mediterranean diet and all that fun stuff.
And when you know the logic and the science, then it's like, okay, now I'm going to do this, rather than, yeah, I know that this is 500 calories, so whatever. But when you know the science and the logic, it really helps people appreciate trying to change things to be healthier.
It gives them the autonomy in that moment. If somebody's reading a food label, now they understand what it is exactly that they want to be looking for.
All right, next question. Can the maintenance program be something for people who have already undergone weight loss surgery and want to learn more to maintain?
No. The maintenance program is for those who joined the non-surgical medical weight management program.
But
and now want to maintain, and then want to still have the accountability, still learn the education, still learn the science after they finish the
right. But if someone has had bariatric surgery, whether it was here with us or with somebody else, we do have another program that we offer here called Back on Track, which is for patients that have had bariatric surgery. And it's a very similar philosophy. We all teach classes in that program as well, where we do a deep dive on the science, but it's also about compassion and meeting people on a weekly basis to reinforce.
I think also what the question was that in order to do the maintenance, we really want you to do the first part of the program and then go into maintenance, same as the Back on Track, right?
Well, yeah, if somebody's had surgery, they can come right into our Back on Track program, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Of course. Does that make sense? Whoever asked the question.
So that looks like it was the last question. I'll give it a few more seconds. All right, I think that is probably the last question that we have. So I just wanted to thank everybody for joining. I wanted to thank both of you, Barbara and Daphne, for that great presentation. If anybody has any additional questions, you can email them off at matherhospital@northwell.edu. And if you'd like to view past HealthyU webinars, you can view them at www.matherhospital.org/HealthyU. Thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Jonathan, for all your help. We really appreciate it.
Of course.